With the release of College Football 27 being just a couple weeks away, it's time that I go back and revisit my wish list for 27 and see just how much they added and what's still being left desired for future college football games. So first off, let's address spring training, weekly training, and spring game. So we get no spring training, we get no spring game, which is a huge bummer because like I mentioned in my wish list video, we like to have spring training and a spring game. Spring training to develop our incoming prospects or incoming transfers and get a little boost in focused development on certain players like we do in Madden with training camp. We get to select players for these training activities that we can go ahead and get an extra boost in development points. So we ask for spring training for that very same aspect. We ask for a spring game just so we can get a feel for how these players play in our offensive schemes, in our defensive schemes, so on and so forth. Because I mentioned how in Madden, we get those new players come in and we get excited to use those players and we overuse these players, typically how we would use other players on our offense and defense, and they might not move or function like those players. So we put ourselves in position where we could possibly lose or have worse stats than we typically would because we don't really know how these players function. So to get ahead of that before we play any of these games, to be able to play a spring game to get an idea for how these players function before we actually play in a game would be huge, because then we know how to operate with these players when we do get in the game action. But we didn't get spring training. We didn't get a spring game. Maybe in due time we will, but right now we don't. We had it in the past, just like I mentioned in my actual wish list video. We had it in the past, and it should be something they can easily insert back into the game, especially when you have training camp in Madden. You should at the least, have spring training activities. We had spring training activities before, and we had a spring game before as well. So hopefully this is something EA can add in the future, but as of the present time, we don't have that. Weekly training, although they implemented some kind of weekly training in the game, I'm not going to mark this off as something that they actually added, because the weekly training I was asking for was actual activities that we could focus on certain players to give them an extra boost that all players won't get through weekly training. So although we didn't have weekly training before, now they have weekly training, but there's no actual physical activity you could perform to focus on specific players. It's just everybody, and you manage their wear and tear throughout the week. But that's not what I asked for. I asked for actual training activities so we could select focus players to develop weekly. And again, Madden has this and has had it for a few years now. It should be something you can easily port over into college football, but yet we're on the third installment and haven't had it yet. I won't beat them up about it because although a lot of things on this wish list aren't in the game, EA did implement quite a few changes to the game in general. And this does seem to be a much better improvement from 26 to 27 than it was from 25 to 26. But hopefully here in the near future, we do get to see weekly training in the game. Create a prospect. Still not in the game, and it's something that has been demanded by the community for a while. And I can't say that I anticipated this coming anytime soon, because with them having this whole issue with the NIL deal, it seems like they're handicapped to a degree. I still don't justify that excuse, because even if you feared people putting players in the game that were in real life that didn't sign up for the game or didn't sign up or had NIL restrictions, should I say, you still in a way can implement something in the game where if somebody tried to put that combination of name together when they created a prospect, it will flag it and not allow them to create that prospect. I don't know. There's ways around it, but not having create a prospect in a game is a massive letdown, but also something I can't say I didn't see coming. Also, with that, edit prospects. Creating a prospect, I definitely didn't see EA adding anytime soon, like I said, because of the NIL deal. But improving editing prospects, come on now. There's only so much you can use that NIL excuse. Like, I get not being able to manipulate a player's name and certain key attributes like that, but telling us that we can't edit a player's number or things like that is ridiculous. Telling us we can't edit players' signature moves or stances is ridiculous. Because, I mean, you got contracted players in the NFL. You could change their signatures and things of that nature, so on and so forth. Nothing more aggravating when you're in Dynasty and you get a player come in from the transfer portal and their number might be 1, but they come to your team and a player on offense already has 1. Somebody on defense already has 1. So they automatically pick the number for you. And it ends up being like 85. But you don't want them to be 85. You want them to be, even if they can't be 1, you want to be able to change them to like 5 or 7 or 11, something like that. But you're restricted because you can't edit that because they are a NIL prospect, and that's garbage. All I'm asking for is to be able to change that player's number and his stance or his run style or his posture or whatever it may be. I'm not asking to completely change this player's name or any of his major vitals or player info, should I say. But the fact that we still can't change the number and all those other little things is a little bit ridiculous, and there is no justifying that if you ask me. FCS teams, again, something that I can't say I didn't see coming, but it's still a letdown. You wish that they added FCS teams in the game instead of us having to resort to downloading them from Team Builder. Because like I mentioned in my wish list, even though we download them from Team Builder, we can't replace the actual generic FCS teams in the game. The only teams you can replace them with is other FBS teams, which is garbage because that defeats the whole purpose of putting FCS teams in our dynasty to replace the generic FCS teams, because now you're still going to have these FCS West, FCS South teams in our dynasty. So then at this point, it's like, what's the point of importing these Team Builder FCS teams if we can't even replace the generic FCS teams in the game? I don't know what the holdup is, but when they first talked about college football coming back, they mentioned FCS teams wouldn't be in the game immediately, but they would be working on implementing them back into the game within the first few years. Well, here we are, third installment, still not even hearing anything close to FCS teams joining the EA Sports college football franchise. So like I said, I don't know what the holdup is, but this is a letdown to the community because this is one of the main requests that's at the top of the list of the community. Everybody wants these FCS teams in the game, but we still have to resort to downloading them off of the Team Builder site. Presentation, although they did upgrade some presentation, I don't know if we really can give them a pass on presentation, because when I spoke about presentation, I acknowledged Madden and how Madden has weekly recap. They have halftime shows, a better presentation for transactions, a tab showing social media accounts and podcasters tweeting about different events happening, and how college football desperately needs something like this for more immersion purposes. And there was a leak going around saying that the halftime show was significantly improved, but what we've learned is that it has been improved to a sense of that they don't just focus on your game. They highlight games around the nation, player statistics, things of that nature, but it's not a legit halftime show like Madden is. We don't have a weekly recap like Madden. And one of the main asks from the community is to have the college football game day crew. And even if you don't have the whole crew, even if you have a couple like 2K did with the TNT crew before they went to ESPN and things of that nature, even if you had a few, you don't have to have the whole panel, a few, but something. Everybody's been asking for that college football game day experience. And again, it's something you had in the game prior, but you still haven't implemented it back into the game. Also a part of that whole presentation aspect, the whole different broadcast packages. You have different broadcast packages in Madden for Thursday night football, Monday night football, Sunday night football. You could have at least did something similar, even if it was just 2 different types of broadcast packages. We're not asking for, hey, do CBS, do NBC, do Fox, so on and so forth. We're just asking for a variety of broadcast packages because you've proven you can do it with Madden. Why haven't you ported this over to college football to give us a better feel of immersion yet again? So when you look at it in a sense that there's no substantial upgrade to the halftime show, there's no weekly recap, there's no different type of broadcast packages, there's no college game day crew, it's pretty much a letdown. And also in that sense, although they did upgrade certain aspects of the presentation, you kept the same score bug, which turns a lot of people off. I'm not too bothered by it, but it is kind of like, meh. Although we still have the same different variation in those broadcast packages of Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, they still kept the same score bug for each one. So they're settling on both Madden and college football right now. Definitely in the future would love to see an upgrade in presentation, especially when you have Madden to look at, and as far as everything they're doing to upgrade that, because they didn't do a significant upgrade in the halftime show or adding weekly recap or so on and so forth for college football. But in Madden, they already implemented that last year, but they upgraded it again this year. So obviously they're focusing a lot of attention on Madden and improving that game more significantly from a presentation standpoint than they are in college football. And next up, we're going to go with the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Of everything that I've discussed in this video, this is the main thing that they actually fully delivered on from my perspective. Everybody else's wish list might be different. This was just my wish list and the things that I asked for. And the main thing that they actually delivered on is the Heisman Trophy ceremony. And again, this is something we haven't had in the game since between the 06, 08, 09 season or something like that. We didn't even have this in NCAA 13, 14, around that time. And those were the glory years that everybody talks about the most. So having the Heisman Trophy ceremony back in the game is a win for sim gamers and a win for immersion. Nobody likes just simulating and then you're seeing faces pop up saying they won this award or that award, or even if you do have that, Heisman Trophy should be standalone. That's a different level of award right there. And bringing the element of surprise to not knowing who's the front runner and actually having to sit through the ceremony and see who is actually selected the Heisman Trophy winner is again a massive win for the sim gaming community. Last but not least is the export import draft class feature. And just like I mentioned in my college football 27 wish list video, I knew this wasn't coming because of the whole NIL deal, but it's still disappointing not having this feature in the game, because if you were around and playing these games heavily when this feature was available, there was nothing like taking your players when they left the college football game and continuing their career over into Madden, just like you do with Superstar mode. And they show that they have the tools and capabilities to be able to do it just by bringing your Road to Glory player into Madden, into Superstar mode. So they can do it. It's there. But this whole NIL deal and it being tricky because it's not like the NFL with the NFLPA Players Association. These players actually represent themselves individually in college, and you never know who might be willing to sue because they only signed up for their player likeness to be in the college football game and not in the NFL game. These are the things that they're worried about. So just like I mentioned before, until we actually get like a players association for college players, this more than likely won't be implemented into the game anytime soon, because that's what we would need in order to move forward in getting the export and import feature in college football and in Madden as well. So that just about does it for this video. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comment section. What was on your wish list? Did they follow through with the things you asked for on your wish list? I think the game has improved a lot. There was a lot of things that they implemented in the game that I didn't necessarily ask for in my wish list, but I feel like it's great additions to the game and improves the game greatly, especially from a gameplay standpoint. Do you agree that it's improved a lot? Do you disagree? Do you feel like there's other things they can add that I didn't have on my list that you might have had on your list? Beat it up in the comment section. As always, if you're here for the first time or you're returning and you haven't liked or subscribed already, please do so. Click that notification tab so you can stay up to speed with more sports gaming content, whether it be college football, Madden, NBA 2K, MLB The Show, you name it, we'll have it here. Again, I appreciate you all for tuning in. That's been my time. Till next time. Peace.